Ladies, gentlemen, and young ladies, hello everyone. I wish you wishes a very good start to the week to everyone wherever you are all over this world. Featured in international news, Russia and Ukraine has intensified strikes reciprocal. Yes, strikes reciprocal. In recent days, the strikes are truly intensified. Ukraine strikes. Ukraine, with the NATO support, hits Russia properly. Russia also strikes Ukraine. So what happened recently? Russia just struck a train in Ukraine, so much so that the President Vladimir Zelensky is overwhelmed. Vladimir Zelensky made a statement, obviously very sad, and the authorities, Ukrainian locals, also came out of their silence, have proceeded to unimaginable denunciations. The war took another turn. Really, there is no hope for the path to peace since all the doors of diplomacy have been closed. Yes. This morning of October 4th, 2025, Ukraine is paralyzed and this strike made at least 30 victims. So it is from this news that we will talk about this geopolitical conference. But before you continue, please do as usual. Share the video conferencing at most, let many likes, and always remember not to leave your different opinions in comment. So let's go into the depths. Yes. So, it must be said that according to official information, this Saturday, October 4th, 2025, several drones Russians struck the railway station in Tosska. Tosska railway station is 50 kilometers from the Russian border. So the station was hit while a train had just arrived. So, already when we talk about a station, we must say that it is a railway station. It is necessary to say that it is a civilian target. There you go. But for a while now in the context of this conflict, there is no longer any distinction. It was said to several times. Ukraine too, which hits rails in Russia. Russia also no longer skimp on the means of hit everything that moves. Obviously that the strategy of terror is currently activated on both sides, whether from on the Ukrainian side or on the Russian side, it knock to knock. We enter the real war where we no longer do distinction. And so, according to Vladimir Zelensky, there are at least 30 victims, but Zelensky did not specify. He did not give precision on the number of deaths or the number of injured, but overall, he says that we count on minimum 30 victims since it is a train station. So Westerners believe that it is obviously an act which is very contrary to the law international war. The right in the war, it's not like that it works. But strangely, when Ukraine also strikes trains on the Russian side, they do not say nothing. That's it. Today, the argument that is used by both camps, what is it? When Ukraine hits the rails on the Russian side, Ukraine argues that these rails allow the transport of ammunition and everything that is military logistics to allow Russia to strike. So we must destroy the means of transport. Russia also believes that these means of transport which allow to transport the ammunition arriving in Kiev through the military support that NATO brings to Ukraine. So tackling to the train, attack the tracks, railways, it is also reducing, for not to say paralyze, the system of transport of military logistics which allows Ukraine to continue to hold military. So here is the argument which is brandished on both sides. This is this argument that is brandished. So it must be said that local witnesses on this, which happened in the locality of Tosska, local witnesses speak out of multiple explosions, that there were several explosions. A first kamikaze drone exploded, then two successive strikes. There were two successive strikes that targeted the help. So even the help were spared. That is to say that the first drone struck while they called the rescuers, the help came to free, and etc. The other drone also struck. So that's why obviously everything naturally that the relief was also hit. The authorities, Ukrainian women, denounce attack deliberate against civilians in transit. And while Moscow is talking about a train of logistics, as I told you, everything at the time elsewhere. So on the side Ukrainian, we say no. Obviously, it's a train of civilians who were in transit here for another one destination that were hit. Russia says it's a train logistics. The essential, in any case for Russia, is a train that transports military logistics. The question remains to be seen. Is it that in this train there were no weapons? That is, use a civilian train to transport military logistics, since Ukraine already knows that during that she uses official channels of transport of its logistics, its military equipment, Russia will strike because Russia has all the hand coordinates. So is it that Ukraine has not entered into another strategy which aims to put the ammunition, military equipment in the trains that transport, in some train cars that transport civilians, and that Russia, through its intelligence services, received the echo of the information, and therefore Russia decided to strike at the whole thing same time? Here is the other point, question mark, at this level. So it must already be said that this situation makes complicated the course of the conflict, since now, when one of the parties strike a civilian target, it uses an argument that the objective, which at the beginning was a civilian objective, but ended up being transformed into a military objective. Here also the complexity of the law, international in war, the in bello. There you go. So the arguments that are put forward by the Russia, they are recognized by law in war. International law in the war said that obviously when that's how it is, it becomes a goal military. But what proves really, and according to the explanations of Ukraine, it is a civilian objective, and this is also recognized by law international war. Here is what makes it difficult to understand what this is conflict, and which makes it complex. Truly complex, the question of liability in the context of this conflict. Even after the conflict, you know there will be prosecutions judicial. But how to place responsibilities? So we must say that the objective strategic that is hidden behind this Russian strike is to strike the Ukrainian mobility, since the forces Russians, and set themselves the goal to paralyze military logistics, Ukrainian, and curb what is called transport. Obviously, break the transfer. I was going to say Western weapons from the north and west of the country. So this is Russia's goal. So Tosska, which is a railway junction strategic point that connects Sumy, Kiev, and Kharkiv, represents a vital node of this infrastructure. So it's a center neuralgic who was struck. Then the Russian strikes show evolution, fewer missiles, more drones said, more precise and more numerous. And so finally the situation becomes very, very complex. And here is what just happened in this morning of Saturday, October 4th, 2025. So I'll come back to you later with new news. So that was the voice of your humble servant, the Samouraï.